A key NFC West matchup has two quarterback injuries. My name is Joe Dolan, and this is the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup for Thursday, November 10th, 2022.
It's time for the FantasyPoints.com Daily Lineup. Staying on top of the latest news and updates around the NFL. Rise and shine, folks. We're taking the field. Here's your host, FantasyPoints.com's Joe Dolan.
Our quarterback one, Matthew Stafford, is a surprise entrant into the concussion protocol. Now, Rams coach Sean McVay said Wednesday that Stafford is in the protocol. That is per Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic. Now, that obviously puts his status for Sunday's game with the Cardinals in doubt. Per Rodriguez, this is, quote, stemming from symptoms ascertained by the training staff following a bleak loss in Tampa Bay. Stafford was hit 8 times and sacked 4 times in the loss, while McVay declined to specifically confirm that Stafford had been diagnosed with a concussion. It's possible to enter the protocol without a diagnosis. His symptoms were such that he will have to clear the 5-step protocol if he wants to return to action. Now, it is worth noting, as Rodriguez astutely points out, that John Wolford, the backup quarterback, got an outsized number of first-team reps in training camp as Stafford managed an elbow injury. But really, this is another blow to a Rams team that has had a ton of them this year. At 3-5, they are basically in must-win territory. And we'll revisit this game shortly. In our first running back spot, do we have JT back? The Colts' Jonathan Taylor was officially listed as limited in practice Wednesday with an ankle injury. Now, according to The Athletic's James Boyd, Taylor, quote, looked pretty good going through drills. The fact that he's practicing on a Wednesday is a fantastic sign for his Week 10 availability, though knowing what this team will look like under Jeff Saturday's tutelage is anyone's guess. Still, if Taylor goes, you gotta play him. You just kind of have to. Now, meanwhile, backup running back Deion Jackson was held out of practice Wednesday with a knee injury. Jackson returned to last week's game following the injury, but was clearly hobbled. The Colts getting Taylor back would be huge for them. Goes without saying. In our second running back spot is a surprise addition to the injury report. The Texans' Dameon Pierce was limited in Wednesday's practice with chest and shoulder injuries. Now, I would think this is just rep management. Pierce runs with anger and velocity, so lowering his shoulder into opposing players is part of his game. He has a great matchup by the numbers with the Giants in Week 10 and is a running back one for your fantasy lineups. By the way, I thought Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale had one of the quotes of the year about Pierce. I want to read it to you. Quote, I don't know who said something to him or did something to him to make him so angry, but that might be the angriest runner in the league. That's what Wink Martindale told reporters on Wednesday per USA Today's Serena Burks. Continuing, he is, I'll give you my comparisons again, old school, Earl Campbell, Jamal Lewis. He's one of those big power backs that has great balance, runs mad every time he touches it, has quick feet. It's going to be a tough assignment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Dan Mullen didn't see at the University of Florida, but everybody else is seeing it with Dameon Pierce. Now, we have some good news in our first wide receiver spot. The 49ers' Deebo Samuel practiced in full on Wednesday as he attempts to return from a hamstring injury. That's great news. Deebo missed Week 8, seems to have gotten healthier over the bye, and will be available in Week 10, barring setback. He's a must-start wide receiver too, but with all the weapons here, someone is likely to disappoint every week. Christian McCaffrey, in particular, has a great matchup against the Chargers on Sunday. And speaking of the Chargers, our wide receiver 2 is probably going to be Josh Palmer again. That's because it's not looking good for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Allen didn't practice on Wednesday after he had a setback with his hamstring injury over the Chargers' Week 8 bye, and didn't play in Week 9. This sure doesn't sound like he's going to go in Week 10, so Josh Palmer will continue to get opportunities on the heels of his first career 100-yard game. Coach Brandon Staley continues to call Allen day-to-day with the injury, by the way, for whatever that's worth. That's notable, though, because it's not the same for Williams. Per Staley, he considers Williams to be, quote, more like week to week. Now, that was expected with Williams' high ankle injury. But when coaches say week to week, a player is almost never close to getting on the field, though the Chargers didn't put Williams on IR, which is at least a somewhat positive sign. And in our flex spot, we have another surprise quarterback addition to the injury report, which I alluded to earlier. The Cardinals' Kyler Murray was a non-participant at Wednesday's practice due to a hamstring injury. That is per Darren Urban of the Cardinals' official site. Great. The Cardinals have had one of the NFL's worst injury reports this year, but Murray being added is the biggest surprise so far. Now, it's worth pointing out that Murray did have a hamstring pull back in 2019, but played the next game. Now, here's what NFL Network's Ian Rappaport had to say. Murray is considered day-to-day with his hamstring injury. That is per a source. It's not nothing, but not catastrophic. Stay tuned this week. That definitely tells me there's a chance he doesn't play on Sunday against the Rams. Colt McCoy is the backup. I'm Joe Dolan, and this has been the Fantasy Points Daily Lineup. We've got one more show to go this week. I'll be talking to you tomorrow morning. We've got, 8 weeks left in the regular season? It's kind of reached that point where it's been a sprint, but it feels like a marathon, but then it's now a sprint again. I don't know. Well, whatever the case, I've been through like 15 of these, and it always becomes a grind around Thanksgiving time. Nonetheless, there's still plenty of work to do to get to the fantasy playoffs and get your teams there. So I hope to be helping you, or at least giving you a little bit of entertainment and news on a morning show. Subscribe to fantasypoints.com using code lineup22, and I will get you an extra 10% off, and you can come chat with me in our subscriber Discord and check out all the articles up at fantasypoints.com. I'll see everybody. Talk to you tomorrow morning.